Chapter 2755. Ha! Night God Emperor wants to summon all the forces. Let's go! When everyone heard the voice of the Night God Emperor, their eyes turned cold, and they immediately flew forward. Let's go! The old ancestor and sect leader of the Nine Clouds' great sect exchanged glances and flew forward in awe. A faction with a celestial darch overseeing it couldn't be compared to a faction without one. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that the Night Clan could easily destroy the Nine Clouds' great sect. A God Emperor was like a towering mountain. If you touched it, you would be crushed instantly. The Nine Clouds' great sect and the others had to be respectful to the Night Clan. They weren't on the same level as the Night Clan anymore. Seems like Yuan of the Night Clan has obtained their ancestors' inheritance. Let's go. From now on, we will respect the Night Clan on Cold Night Island. Not far away, an ancestor from a great power looked over and powerlessly said. They were also a great sect on Cold Night Island and had an immortal king. Even though they weren't as strong as the Night Clan would still give them face. But now, everything had changed. If they didn't submit, the Night Clan could destroy them with one word. Now they had to submit and show their loyalty. He came so suddenly. Even the demon fiend Orochi and the others didn't get the news. Seems like he just broke through and flew over. On the Dragon Peak, Wang Xian spoke in a deep voice as he looked at the body that was emitting a powerful aura. Let's go! As he spoke, he flew straight in that direction. Let's go! Tianjin and the others followed immediately. They were all wearing formation jade cards to hide their strength. The Void God Emperor couldn't sense their specific strength without touching them. While Wang Xian and the others were flying over, at least 100 million people were also flying over. All the experts and core disciples of the Imperial Star region were going over. Next, Night God Emperor of the Night Clan was in charge of the battlefield. They all had to listen to his orders. Even the Imperial Dynasty's protectors listened to Night God Emperor's orders. This was the authority of a God Emperor. Wang Xian and the others flew over and stood at the edge. Congratulations, Night God Emperor. In the future, our heavenly demon cult will respect the Night Clan on Cold Night Island. As soon as Wang Xian and the rest arrived, they saw the Laozu of the Sky Demon cult leading a group of disciples to the figure that was emitting blue radiance. Hee, very good. The sky blue figure standing in the air looked at them and nodded his head indifferently, filled with a sense of superiority. The people from the Sky Demon cult did not feel indignant at all and stood respectfully at the side. Congratulations, Night God Emperor, congratulations, Night Clan. We, the continent of the Nine Clouds, will listen to Night God Emperor's orders. Congratulations, Night God Emperor. From now on, the Imperial Star Domain will have another Void God Emperor to oversee the Void. Nine Heavens Great Sects Duan Tian and the others flew over and bowed respectfully. As for some of the smaller forces, they wished that they could kneel down and congratulate him. Patriarch. Patriarch. At this time, a group of experts from the Night Clan flew over. The few people in the lead flew to the Night God Emperor's side with excitement. Hee. The Night God Emperor looked at his outstanding descendants and smiled. Patriarch, I didn't expect you to break through so quickly. The leader of the Night Clan roared excitedly. Haha, faster than expected. The Night God Emperor laughed. He had a good attitude towards his direct descendants. After all, they were at the same level not long ago. Patriarch, I heard that after reaching the God Emperor level, you can help others improve their strength. Is that true? The leader of the Night Clan said with a smile. Hee, you want me to improve the strength of the young Emperor, right? Young Emperor, come here. The Night God Emperor said with a smile as he looked at young Emperor Yi. Patriarch. Hearing the Patriarch calling him, young Emperor Yi flushed with excitement and walked over immediately. Your father is a peak god king, and so is your grandfather. You can't be weaker than them in the future. Do you understand? The Night God Emperor looked at his descendant and said in a good mood. Yes, Patriarch. I will work hard to surpass my father and grandfather and reach the level of the Patriarch. Young Emperor Yi immediately cupped his hands and said respectfully, Ha ha ha, good. The Night God Emperor laughed and waved his arm. Hong. The next moment, a majestic energy entered his body. Young Emperor Ye's body shook and his aura rose. A sky-blue hand appeared in front of young Emperor Yi and adjusted the energy in his body. Hong. Not long after, his body trembled, and an aura that belonged to a god king came over. The Night God Emperor waved his arm and metal materials appeared in front of him. They quickly formed palaces in his mind. Around the palaces, there was a river. The entire palace was a few hundred kilometers wide. He waved his arm and a connection was formed between the palaces and young Emperor Yi. Everyone who witnessed this scene widened their eyes in shock. They looked on in shock and didn't dare to speak. The 100 million people around were silent. Thank you, Patriarch. A few minutes later, young Emperor Yi seemed to have been reborn as he shouted excitedly. SSS, in just a few minutes he raised an eternal God Lord from rank 8 to the immortal God King realm. Is this the Void God Emperor? How terrifying! He raised an eternal God Lord to the immortal God King realm. The surrounding people couldn't help but exclaim when they saw this. The Void God Emperor can raise one's strength directly, but there are many restrictions. It's not as easy as it looks and the consumption is huge. Tianjin looked ahead and sent a message to Wang Xian with slight disdain. Wang Xian nodded his head slightly. Tianjin knew about it, but the other forces and experts didn't. The scene in front of them was indeed shocking. This was a powerful move that belonged to the Void God Emperor. Congratulations, Night God Emperor. At this moment, 2 patriarchs from Sky Edge arrived with a group of disciples. The 2 of you are here. Come to my side. The Night God Emperor looked over and greeted them with a smile. He let the 2 of them come to his side to show all the forces present that the Sky Edge sect was under his protection. It's Night God Emperor. The 2 patriarchs from Sky Edge sect came to Night God Emperor with excitement in their eyes. They glanced at Wang Xian in front of them with flickering eyes. Huh! Why is the Night God Emperor so polite to the 2 patriarchs from Sky Edge sect? And he even let them stand aside? This is... Seeing this, all the forces were shocked. Chapter 2756. Wonderful pop-up window free reading. Everyone knew that the Sky Edge sect was close to the Night Clan. But they didn't know that the 2 patriarchs of the Sky Edge sect had such a good relationship with the Night God Emperor. The attitude of the Night God Emperor surprised them. Now, the Sky Edge sect and the Dragon Palace were mortal enemies. Recently, some people said that the Dragon Palace had offended the Night Clan. But recently, the Dragon Palace had killed 2 peak immortal God King abyssal species and hunted a large abyss species. This made the Dragon Palace famous. Everyone in the Imperial Star region was talking about how the Dragon Palace might be as powerful as the Night Clan. Even if they had offended the Night Clan, they couldn't do anything about it. But now, with such a good relationship with the Sky Edge Night Clan, would the Night God Emperor make a move against the Dragon Palace? Everyone's eyes flickered and they couldn't help but look at Wang Xian and the others. Although Wang Xian and the others were at the edge, with the current status and strength of the Dragon Palace, there weren't many forces that dared to get close. The nearby forces also stood more than 10 meters behind the Dragon Palace, showing their respect to the Dragon Palace. Therefore, Wang Xian and the others were still very eye-catching. Hee hee! At this time, the Night God Emperor also sensed the changes in the surroundings. He squinted his eyes and looked at Wang Xian and the others. A faint aura surged from his body. When this pressure rose, some of the experts from the surrounding forces sensed it. Everyone's expression changed. The Night God Emperor is going against the Dragon Palace. They were shocked and their eyes were fixed on the Dragon Palace. Jiu Shao Tianyu and the other sects were also slightly shocked. Night God Emperor, we have already discussed with the Night Clan leader and the others. The 8 devil spirits, who were standing beside the Night God Emperor, felt the aura of the Night God Emperor and a murderous intent flashed in their hearts. They quickly transmitted a message to the Night God Emperor. Oh! The aura of the Night God Emperor disappeared. He looked to the side and a sealed space appeared with his mind. With his current status, there was no need to set up such a space. But some schemes still needed to be prepared. Great Ancestor, the Dragon Palace is not weak. It can even be said that they are very strong. However, they have offended our Night Clan and the Sky Edge sect. Naturally, we will not let them go. But we don't have to destroy it directly. From now on, our Night Clan will be in charge of this place, and will be responsible for suppressing this abyss. We can order the Dragon Palace and the others to fight against the powerful abyss creatures. This way, we can destroy Dragon Palace and reduce the pressure on the abyss battlefield. With Dragon Palace's strength, it shouldn't be a problem to kill 2 to 3 Undying God King Peak Abyss species. The leader of the Night Clan said immediately. That's possible? It's too easy to destroy them. Night God Emperor's eyes flickered as he nodded his head. He looked at the Yaqui demon fiend beside him and said, as long as the 2 brothers from Tianya have no objections. The hatred between the Night Clan and the Dragon Palace was not that great. Everything depended on the Sky Edge sect. Night God Emperor, let's act according to what we discussed with clan leader Yi and the others. Yamada no Orochi said respectfully. Alright, then I'll let them go for now. The Night God Emperor nodded. Old Ancestor, can young Emperor ask you for a favor? At this moment young Emperor Yi, who was standing at the side, hesitated for a moment before asking Night God Emperor. Oh? The Night God Emperor raised his eyebrows and looked at his descendant. What do you want? Didn't Old Ancestor increase your strength just now? The leader of the Night Clan looked at his son and frowned as he shouted. It's nothing, young Emperor. Speak. The Night God Emperor waved his hand and said plainly. Old Ancestor, I like the current disciple of the Imperial Court, Di Xing Nu. Please help me, ha ha ha. Young Emperor Yi said. Before he could finish his sentence, the Night God Emperor burst into laughter and interrupted him. Good. Young Emperor, you're much more promising than your father. In our generation, your grandfather and your father aren't promising at all. In your generation, it's not bad to have a few more descendants. Don't worry. I'll propose to the Imperial Court later, and they won't reject me. The Night God Emperor patted on young Emperor Ye's shoulder as he spoke. Thank you, Old Ancestor. Young Emperor Yi replied excitedly when he heard the Old Ancestor's words. Since the Elder Ancestor has agreed, then we might as well get you another wife. Doesn't the Dragon King have a disciple, the Frost Goddess? Didn't she mock you before? Why don't you let her be your concubine? At this moment, the leader of the Night Clan suddenly said, This, father. That goddess of frost is so powerful and is even said to have the potential of a great emperor. It's all right. The Night Clan can suppress her. Young Emperor Yi was slightly stunned. He was interrupted by his father, who patted his shoulder as well. At this moment young Emperor Yi thought of the goddess of frost's face, and his heart was burning. That was the famous goddess of frost. At the same time, he was filled with endless pride. With the love of his old ancestor, and his father and grandfather, who would dare to offend him in the Imperial Star region in the future? Even the sect masters and old ancestors of the major sects would have to be polite to him in the future. Buzz. At this moment, the Night God Emperor broke through the soundproof barrier and scanned the surroundings. All the surrounding forces bowed slightly and waited for the Night God Emperor's orders. Some of them glanced in the direction of the Dragon Palace and wondered if the Dragon Palace would be punished by the Night God Emperor. From now on, the Chasm battlefield will be led by the Night Clan and the Guardians of the Imperial Court. All forces, please cooperate, the Night God Emperor said indifferently. Night God Emperor, the Chasm battlefield will be mainly under your control. The Imperial Court will only assist you. The Great Ancestor has instructed us to follow your orders. One of the Imperial Court's guardians said with a smile and scanned the surroundings. The Night God Emperor's orders are also the Imperial Court's orders. We will naturally follow the Night God Emperor's orders. All the experts saw this scene and said hurriedly. At this moment, with the Night God Emperor's strength, disobeying the orders was purely a challenge to the Night God Emperor's authority. The result was naturally death. Moreover, the Imperial Court was next to them. Who would dare to offend these two forces? Very good. Our next task is to suppress this abyss. In a few days, I will personally organize an attack. The Night God Emperor said. Yes, Night God Emperor. All the guardians of the Imperial Court replied respectfully. Yes, Night God Emperor. All the other forces cupped their fists and replied. Everyone, don't worry. With me around, you won't suffer too many losses. The Night God Emperor said indifferently and then looked at the guardians of the Imperial Court. I heard that the current princess of the Imperial Court is extremely talented. My descendant, the young emperor, is quite talented. Today, I have come to ask for a karma for him. What do you think? Night God Emperor, this is great news. The Imperial Court will naturally be happy to tie the knot with the Night Clan. The protectors were taken aback for a moment. Then, a smile appeared on their faces as they responded. Chapter 2757. When the Night God Monarch personally proposed a marriage alliance with the Imperial Court, and the guardians agreed without hesitation, the Emperor's star daughter, who was among the crowd, had a drastic change in her expression. Her heart sank when she heard the guardians' agreement. She looked embarrassed and infuriated at the same time. Her marriage was directly decided by them? Guardians, I don't agree. I'll make my own decision on my marriage. The Emperor's Star Maiden was filled with rage as she spoke with an ugly expression on her face. The 5 guardians' faces darkened when they saw the Emperor's Star Daughter objecting. The Night God Monarch also raised his eyebrows. Seeing the Emperor's Star Daughter rejecting him directly, young Emperor Ye's expression darkened and changed. Night God Monarch Guardians, it's an honor for my daughter to marry young Emperor Yi. Marriage is decided by the parents. As a father, I naturally agree to it. Before they could speak, the Emperor's Star Daughter's father, Di Haosong, stepped forward and spoke. You're not qualified to make decisions for me. The Emperor's Star Daughter looked at her father and said with a sullen face. Pa! However, Di Haosong's slap landed on the Emperor's Star Daughter before she could react. The Emperor's Star Daughter was stunned as she stared at her father. Night God Monarch Guardians, Haosong didn't discipline his daughter well. I can make the decision for my daughter. It's my honor to become in-laws with young Emperor Yi and the Night Clan leader. Di Haosong looked at the Emperor's Star Daughter coldly as he cupped his fist and spoke to them. What's with the ruckus? Back off, one of the guardians said directly. Yes. Di Haosong responded immediately as he grabbed the Emperor's Star Daughter and brought her to the back. In terms of cultivation, her father was much stronger than her. Wang Xian frowned slightly as his eyes flickered, but he didn't say a word. My father only has 2 sons and I only have 1. Therefore, I'd like to ask for a concubine for our young emperor. At this moment, the Night Clan leader suddenly spoke. Everyone was slightly surprised when they heard what he said. Taking concubines for young Emperor Yi? Everyone from Beichuan clan, I heard that your clan has a lady who has the potential to become a great emperor. Such a genius, I want to raise her to the next level under the training of my Yi clan. What do you think, Beichuan clan leader? The Night Clan leader continued. He turned his head and looked in the direction of the Beichuan clan. Frost Goddess! Frost Goddess, the disciple of the Dragon King, and the Night Clan? This is against the Dragon Palace. The Emperor Star Princess seems to have a good relationship with the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace. When the people from the various forces heard the words of the Night Clan's patriarch, they felt a chill in their hearts. By making the Frost Goddess his son's concubine, he was purposely trying to embarrass the Dragon King. The Night Clan was doing this on purpose. Just as they had guessed, a large part of the reason why the leader of the Night Clan wanted to propose to the Beichuan clan was to discuss the Dragon King. He deliberately embarrassed the Dragon King. Secondly, the name and talent of the Frost Goddess was indeed worthy of his son. Beside the Night Clan leader, young Emperor Ye's eyes lit up as he looked in the direction of the Beichuan clan. When his gaze fell on Beichuan, his eyes were filled with greed. Even as the son of a large sect, he didn't dare to dream of such a goddess. An eighth-order immortal king realm woman like her had a higher status than the princess of the imperial court. This made his heart burn with desire. This, the sect leader and old ancestor of the North Chuan clan trembled slightly. They exchanged glances and looked at Bei Shuang. Clan leader Yi, Bei Shuang is now the deputy sect leader of our Bei Chuan clan. We don't have the right to make such a decision for her, Bei Chuan clan leader said bitterly. Oh? What do you think, Frost Goddess? The Night clan leader looked at Bei Shuang and asked. If he can defeat me, I can consider it. Bei Shuang looked coldly at the Night clan leader and said, Huh! Are you looking down on the Night clan? The Night clan leader looked at Bei Shuang and asked. Indeed, I'm looking down on you if you threaten me like this. Bei Shuang stared at the Night clan leader and said fearlessly. Frost Goddess, you're wrong to use the word threaten. You should use the word suppress. The Night clan leader said with a smile. Hee, you'll have to keep suppressing me then. Otherwise, you'll only lose both your wife and your soldiers. Bei Shuang completely ignored his threat and threatened him instead. Bei Shuang's words were clear. If they couldn't suppress her, she would kill young Master Yi. Humph! Her words made the Night clan leader's face turn cold. All right, she's just a woman, the Night God Emperor said coldly. The Night clan leader wanted to say something but kept his words. However, no one dares to threaten the Night clan now. Anyone who disobeys shall die. The Night God Emperor turned to look at Bei Shuang. In an instant, a terrifying aura shot towards Bei Shuang. Bei Shuang's face changed drastically. She didn't expect the Night God Emperor to attack her all of a sudden. Boom! A wave of water elemental laws directly landed on her body, and the terrifying power sent her flying. Desperation and fear flashed in her eyes. Bei Shuang! The North Creek clan leader and the rest were shocked as they exclaimed. Bam! Bei Shuang crashed into one of the patriarchs of the North Chuan clan. The patriarch of the North Chuan clan spat out a mouthful of blood from the impact, and his body was sent flying for thousands of meters. SSS. At the sight of this, everyone gasped, their faces filled with astonishment. They could sense that the vitality of the Frost Goddess had completely disappeared. Dead? Seeing the Frost Goddess killed, they looked at the Night God Emperor in awe. Some of them glanced at Wang Xian. At the side, Wang Xian closed his eyes and his eyelashes fluttered when he saw Bei Shuang killed. 5 days later, all forces shall gather before the abyss and follow me to conquer it. The Night God Emperor wasn't the least bit affected by Bei Shuang's death. He looked at everyone and said plainly. As soon as he finished his sentence, he disappeared. Everyone looked on blankly as their hearts trembled. This was the majesty of a god emperor. The goddess of frost had been killed just because she had said something wrong. Perhaps she was implicated by the Dragon King. After all, the frost goddess has the potential to become a great emperor. The Night God Emperor wouldn't leave such a hostile goddess alive. An old man from the Nine Heavens sect murmured and shook his head. All the supreme talents and demon-like talents were just empty talk before they grew up. Wasn't someone as brilliant as the Frost Goddess killed by the Night God Emperor? Sister Bei Shuang! Bei Shuang! Bei Shuang! At this moment, the voices of the Emperor Stargirl and North Creek clan were heard. Chapter 2758. I don't care how beautiful you are. This is the consequence of threatening our Night Clan. The people from the Night Clan looked at the corpses in front of them, and swept a glance across Wang Xian and the rest. Let's go! The leader of the Night Clan said plainly as he flew towards the planet. What a pity! Young Emperor Yi shook his head in pity. Such an unparalleled goddess had turned into a pile of dirt. However, this was also the consequence of looking down on him and the Night Clan. The Night Clan left. Chi Demon Sha and the rest left with the disciples of the Sky Edge. The guardians of the Imperial Court and the experts of the Imperial Court took a glance and left without saying a word. As for the Imperial Court's rule that humans were forbidden from killing each other, it didn't apply to the Emperor God. Moreover, the Imperial Court had already broken this rule to protect the Sky Edge sections. Sister Bei Shuang! Sister Bei Shuang! Bei Shuang! Emperor Star Princess cried out with tears flowing down her cheeks. Sect leader Bei Chuan, old ancestor, and the rest also cried out sorrowfully. Powerless! Facing the Night Clan, facing the Void God Emperor, they were helpless. Emperor Star Princess, I've made the decision. The guardians of the Imperial Court have also made the decision. After the abyss is pacified, you will be married to young Emperor Yi of the Night Clan. Behave yourself during this period. I'll send someone to watch over you. Understand? At this time, Di Haoseng walked to the side of the Emperor Star Princess and spoke to her coldly. The Emperor Star Princess lifted her head and stared at him with bloodshot eyes. "TSK, don't be ungrateful," Di Haoseng said coldly and left immediately. "Pass the corpse to me." Wang Xian walked over and said to them, "Dragon King, see if you can save Bei Shuang." "Bei Shuang," sect leader Bei Chuan said with a sorrowful face. He knew that Bei Shuang had lost all signs of life. She was dead. An emperor god wouldn't leave anyone alive. Wang Xian didn't say a word. He carried Bei Shuang's corpse and flew towards the Dragon Peak. The Emperor Star Princess hurriedly followed behind. The Dragon King is responsible for her success, and the Dragon King is also responsible for her failure. The Imperial Court's daughter was able to rise because of the Dragon King's cultivation method, but also because of the Dragon King, she was directly killed by the Night God Emperor. The Frost Goddess was killed entirely because of the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace. Although I don't understand why the Night God Emperor didn't directly attack the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace, killing Bei Shuang is also a signal. Even if the Night Clan doesn't destroy the Dragon Palace now, it doesn't mean that they won't do so in the future. The Dragon Palace is going to suffer. The Dragon Palace is already strong enough, especially with its current reputation in the Imperial Star region. The first place of the hero ranking and the merit ranking are both from the Dragon Palace and the Dragon Palace. After the Deep Abyss War, the Dragon Palace could become a force that could rival or even surpass the Night Clan. I didn't expect the Night Clan's ancestor to become a king. It's all fate. Even if the Dragon Palace isn't destroyed, it will probably die down in the future. After all, the Night Clan and the Imperial Court are on good terms. Looking at the departure of the Dragon King and the others, some experts of the major powers discussed in whispers. Right now, the Dragon Palace was very famous in the Imperial Star region. Everyone knew about it, but it was a pity. Facing the orders of the Imperial Court and the Night Clan, it would be extremely difficult for them to escape. Is this the reason why the Dragon King didn't allow us to get close to the Dragon Palace? Did the Dragon King already foresee some things? The Moon Dragon Python group and the Ancient Gods dynasty looked at the Dragon King with complicated expressions. They felt helpless. They were indebted to the Dragon Palace, but they couldn't do anything to help in such a situation. Once they stood on the side of the Dragon Palace, destruction would be waiting for them. They had hundreds of millions of disciples, and they didn't dare to gamble with everyone's lives. Sob sob, Wang Xian, Sister Bei Shuang is dead. Arriving at the Dragon Peak, the Emperor Star Maiden cried again when she saw Bei Shuang's corpse in Wang Xian's arms. Let's go back to the Dragon Palace. Wang Xian looked at the Emperor Star Maiden and said. The Emperor Star Maiden choked with sobs and nodded. Wang Xian waved his arm and kept the Emperor Star Maiden in the mother nest. Then, he disappeared instantly. Tianjin and the others looked at each other and disappeared as well. Wang! Back in the Dragon Palace, Wang Xian released the Emperor Star Maiden. Do you have any plans for the future? Wang Xian looked at her and asked. I can't marry that young Emperor Yi. The Emperor Star Maiden's expression changed as she clenched her fists. What about the Imperial Court? Why don't you bring your mother to the Dragon Palace? Wang Xian suggested. All right. The Emperor Star Maiden gritted her teeth. She didn't hesitate at all. In the vast Imperial Court, even though she was the daughter of the Emperor Star Maiden, she was just a chess piece. The guardians of the Imperial Court didn't ask for her permission to marry young Emperor Yi. Moreover, her father couldn't be called her father anymore. In the past, it was hatred. Now it was hatred. Even if a father like her died, she wouldn't even frown. Let's go. Let's save Bei Shuang first. Wan Xian nodded at her and walked into the Dragon King Hall. Wan Xian, you can save Sister Bei Shuang. The Emperor Star Maiden was stunned for a moment before she exclaimed excitedly. I'll see. Wan Xian smiled faintly. He didn't expect the Night God Emperor to kill Bei Shuang directly. However, Wan Xian couldn't do anything at that time, because he wasn't sure if the Emperor God of the Imperial Court had left. Moreover, the Dragon Palace hadn't made any preparations. Very soon, the Dragon Palace would repay Bei Shuang tenfold. 5 days later, Wan Xian carried Bei Shuang to the Dragon Throne and plucked a Soul Return Fetus fruit. There were over 100 Soul Return Fetus fruits on the Soul Return branch. Other than Xiaoran, no one else had used one. The Emperor Star Maiden looked at the fruit curiously. She didn't know the effects of these fruits. She hadn't been to the Dragon Transformation Pool or the Dragon Field in the Dragon Palace. Wan Xian had forbidden her from going there, because the Emperor Star Maiden used to be a member of the Imperial Court. This fruit is called the Soul Return Fetus fruit. It can bring someone back from the dead, Wan Xian said with a smile when he saw the Emperor Star Maiden's curious look. Bring someone back from the dead? Is this for real? The Emperor Star Maiden widened her eyes in shock. Wan Xian didn't say anything. He crushed the fruit and threw it on Bei Shuang. Previously, Xiao Ran could be revived even after his head was taken away. This time, it was easier for Bei Shuang to be revived. Traces of vitality gathered towards Bei Shuang. The Emperor Star Maiden could clearly feel that Bei Shuang was recovering. With a glance, she could clearly feel that Bei Shuang was a dead person previously. But now, she was like a person in a deep sleep. Her eyes widened in disbelief. Bring someone back from the dead. It was a real revival. She looked at the fruits at the side. There were over 100 of them. There were also close to 100 other fruits. What kind of family was this? It was so heaven-defying. Chapter 2759, Wang. In the Dragon King Hall, Bei Shuang's life force was slowly recovering. At the side, the Emperor Star Princess stared with her eyes wide open. Her eyes were red, and her mouth was wide open, appearing exceptionally adorable. Gradually, the leaders of the Dragon Palace came to the Dragon King Hall and waited there quietly. Even if the Dragon Palace could save Bei Shuang, they could still feel the murderous aura from the Dragon King. After more than 10 minutes, Bei Shuang let out a sound. She opened her eyes slowly and looked around blankly. This is... She was already looking around in confusion. Wasn't she killed by Emperor Yi? Why is she here? Sister Bei Shuang, you're awake. That's great! That's great! At this moment, Emperor Star Princess cheered. Bei Shuang got up slightly and touched her body. I'm not dead yet, she murmured. You've been saved by Wan Xian. You've come back from the dead. That's amazing! Emperor Star Princess's exclamation continued. Bei Shuang looked at Wan Xian. Wan Xian helped her up gently and looked at her with a smile. Join the Dragon Palace, he said to Bei Shuang. Yes, master. Bei Shuang will listen to you. Bei Shuang nodded her head slowly. Given your physique, you can try the Dragon Transformation Pool. As Wan Xian spoke, he waved his arm and led Bei Shuang and Emperor Star Princess to the Dragon Transformation Pool. What's the effect of the Dragon Transformation Pool? Emperor Star Princess had seen the Dragon Transformation Pool from afar, but she didn't know the details. The Dragon Transformation Pool can transform one into a divine dragon. Of course, it's a little difficult to transform into a real divine dragon. But even an ordinary dragon is exceptionally powerful. The reason why I was willing to accept you as a disciple was because of your physique. If you enter the Dragon Transformation Pool, you'll have a chance to transform into a Frost Divine Dragon, a powerful mutated divine dragon. Wan Xian didn't answer Emperor Star Princess but said to Bei Shuang. Divine dragon? Master, is the cultivation method you imparted to me the Frost Divine Dragon? Bei Shuang looked at him with flickering eyes. Yes. Wan Xian smiled and nodded. He patted her shoulder and said, Once you enter the dragon transformation pool, you'll be a member of the Dragon Palace forever. Go in. Yes, Master. Bei Shuang nodded and flew into the dragon transformation pool without hesitation. There was also some dragon blood inside. Transforming into a divine dragon! Wang Xian, I want to become a divine dragon too. Is it the divine dragon at the pinnacle of the universe? Can I transform into a fairy dragon? At the side, the Emperor Star Maiden's eyes lit up. You're not qualified to transform into a fairy dragon. At the very least, you don't have the looks. Wang Xian looked at her and teased. Humph! How is that possible? I'm a famous goddess in the Imperial Star Field. The Emperor Star Maiden curled her lips. Hee, well, contact your mother. I'll send someone from the Dragon Palace to pick her up. You'd better think it through. You won't be able to go back once you're here. As Wang Xian spoke, coldness flashed in his eyes. I have. If it wasn't for me, my mother would have left the Imperial Court a long time ago. The Emperor Star Maiden nodded solemnly. Wang Xian nodded. With a swift move, he returned to the Dragon King Hall. Dragon King. The group of Dragon Palace leaders greeted him respectfully. We still have 5 days to prepare. Within these 5 days, find a way out and be fully prepared. Also, I'll make the Imperial Court and Night Clan pay a heavy price 5 days later. Wang Xian sat on the dragon throne and roared with a stern face. Rest assured, Dragon King. We'll definitely be well prepared. If we don't eliminate 5 to 6 pinnacle immortal god kings, they'll really think that our Dragon Palace can crush them easily. Tianjin said with a cold expression. Haha, Big Brother Devilish Orochi said that he'll let you guys witness the strength of the venom-horned dragon species. Dujio chuckled and said, Hee, I hope that the two fellows, Demon Sha, can open my eyes. Tianjin chuckled. Tianjin, how's the research on spirit arrays going? Wang Xian asked Tianjin. Dragon King, it's done. Everyone has one and the venom-horned dragon species have 2. Crush one to return to the Dragon Peak and the other to escape. We haven't chosen the second destination yet. Tianjin replied immediately. Wang Xian nodded and said, Then we'll wait for 5 days. Yes, Dragon King. The group of Dragon Palace leaders shouted as a violent aura surged from their bodies. Emperor Star Maiden, who was flying over, widened her eyes as she felt the aura. She could sense that there were no less than 8 pinnacle immortal god kings. Is Wang Xian going to start a war with the Night Clan? Emperor Star Maiden murmured. Time passed and the entire Imperial Star Domain was in an uproar over the past 2 days. The old ancestor of the Night Clan becoming an emperor shook the entire Imperial Star Domain. The birth of a god emperor was enough to shock everyone. God emperors were high up in the sky, invincible existences. Now that the old ancestor of the Night Clan had become an emperor, it could be said that the Imperial Star Domain had another epic-level force. Apart from the birth of the God Emperor of the Night Clan, the news of Emperor God Emperor killing the Goddess of Frost had also caused quite a stir. The Goddess of Frost, anyone with a bit of strength would know that she was a demon-like prodigy. She was said to have the potential to become a great emperor, but now she had been killed by Emperor God Emperor. This made many people feel sorry for the Goddess of Frost. Some even said that Emperor God Emperor was too cruel. Why didn't he let a woman go? But very quickly, a public opinion appeared on the artificial intelligence system. The Goddess of Frost had threatened the Night Clan and was killed by Emperor God Emperor. This public opinion quickly overshadowed all the criticism. This was the Imperial Court controlling the public opinion. The artificial intelligence system was controlled by the Imperial Court. It was too easy for the Imperial Court to change some things. And on the artificial intelligence system, there were also some comments about the Dragon Palace. The Dragon Palace is extremely cruel. They assassinated the experts and disciples of the Sky Edge sect, causing the Sky Edge sect to suffer heavy losses. Now that the Sky Edge sect is on good terms with the Night Clan, the Dragon Palace will soon be in trouble. The Dragon Palace is very strong, but they don't care about the other sections. They killed countless disciples of the Sky Edge sect. All sorts of comments appeared, causing some people on Jinao to be surprised. Even their admiration for the Dragon Palace and the shock of the Dragon Palace's power gradually disappeared. The Imperial Court was subtly changing some of the public opinion. And in these few days there was another thing that caught everyone's attention on the artificial intelligence system. Emperor God Emperor of the Night Clan was going to lead a group of experts into the deep abyss to kill abyssal demons and solve the crisis of humanity as soon as possible. Everyone was looking forward to the war that was about to break out. And Emperor God Emperor was undoubtedly a great hero of the Imperial Star Domain. Everyone worshipped the Void God Emperor. Chapter 2760. It's been 4 days. How are the preparations going? Wang Xian sat in the Dragon King Hall and asked the group of leaders of the Dragon Palace. Dragon King, everything is ready. Below, Prime Minister Turtle said with a smile. Since everything is ready, let's head over. He stood up slowly, his eyes gleaming. Over the past few days, Wang Xian had seen the situation at the front line of the Imperial Court and the information on the artificial intelligence system. However, Dragon Palace did nothing. The artificial intelligence system was controlled by the Imperial Court, and they controlled the public opinion. However, the winner was always right. If one day, Dragon Palace could destroy the Imperial Court, then Dragon Palace would be the king of the Imperial Star region. Everyone was in awe and worshipped them. Yes, Dragon King! Prime Minister Turtle and the rest nodded. Roving Heavens and the rest immediately followed. Xiao Xian, be careful! Wang Xian, be careful! The group of girls and Emperor Star Maiden saw Wang Xian leaving and knew that there would be a huge battle. They were slightly worried. Don't worry, nothing will happen. Wang Xian looked at them and smirked. He teleported to the front line of the Imperial Court through the teleportation formation. Dragon King, this is some information about tomorrow. Please do it. When Wang Xian arrived at the Imperial Court's frontline teleportation planet, a staff member from the Imperial Court seemed to be prepared and handed them a piece of yellow paper. Oh? Wang Xian raised an eyebrow and read the content. The content was simple. Wang Xian had already received similar information. The strength of Dragon Palace was written on it. It was the same strength as the previous time. Below it was a reminder that the number of Dragon Palace's disciples should not be less than 2/3. At that time, there might be a roll call to see if they could send such strength. If they deliberately sent less people, they would be punished by the Imperial Court. As for how they would be punished, there was no mention. Hee hee! Wang Xian looked at the content and chuckled. The Imperial Court was obviously in cahoots with the Night Clan. He moved his palm slightly and the paper turned into ashes. He glanced at the newly built teleportation formation planet and the Merit Treasure Exchange Palace beside it. His eyes shone with a cold light. In a flash, he arrived at the Dragon Peak and stood on the command platform. Dujio, I'll leave the Merit Exchange Palace to you tomorrow, Wang Xian said to Dujio, who was beside him. It's Dragon King! Dujio nodded. Based on the news they had received over the past few days, 4 out of the 5 Imperial Dynasty protectors would lead the disciples into the abyss tomorrow. A protector was sitting in the Merit Palace. All the treasures were guarded by him. Over at the Night Clan, an Undying God King Pinnacle expert was guarding the Cold Night Island. The Night Clan only sent 3 Undying God King Pinnacle experts into the abyss. This was good news for the Dragon Palace. Wang Xian looked at each plan and linked to ensure that there were no mistakes. The Dragon King and the others have arrived, haven't they? At the same time, Night God Emperor was sitting in a palace on a planet in the Imperial Court. Ahead of them were the 2 old ancestors of Heaven's Edge, 8 Branches and Demon Fiend, the 3 Undying God King Peak experts of Night Clan, and the 4 Undying God King Peak experts of Imperial Court. They stood respectfully in front. Night God Emperor asked them plainly. They're here, Lord Night God Emperor. Everything is ready for tomorrow's battle. Dragon Palace Master will attack the central position. When we attack tomorrow, that Void God Emperor in the depths will definitely order all the clans to work together. By then, the most dangerous place will be the central region, one of the Imperial Court Protectors said. Once the battle starts tomorrow, our old ancestors might be pinned down by that Void God Emperor. By then, we have to pay attention to prevent Dragon Palace from overreacting. The Night Clan chief raised his eyebrows and said, Dragon Palace shouldn't dare to offend the Imperial Court and Night Clan. This is no different from digging their own grave. However, if we send Dragon Palace to the central position for tomorrow's battle, they will definitely be unhappy. By then, we can ask Night God Emperor to appease them. For example, promise that if Dragon Palace accumulates enough merit points, we can let them off. One of the Imperial Court Protectors suggested. Huh! I'm not a man who goes back on his words. I'll do what I say. Night God Emperor knitted his eyebrows and said coldly, Lord Night God Emperor, don't worry. If Dragon Palace accumulates many merit points, they will also suffer great losses. By then, if you let them off, we, the Imperial Court, can make a move. We can easily wipe them out, the Imperial Court Protector said. Sooner or later, we will wipe out Dragon Palace. It doesn't matter who does it. By then we, the Sky Edge sect, hope that we can attack together, Orochi said with a stern face. That's not a problem. By then, the Dragon Palace might suffer great losses, but the two of you can easily wipe them out. Hee hee, one of the Imperial Court Protectors said with a smile. That's even better. By then, I'll hang the Dragon King's head. Amos Shah, who was at the side, roared with a murderous look. All right, a small dragon palace isn't worth our time. Guarding the Abyss battlefield is the most important thing. Tomorrow, try to kill more Immortal King Peak Immortal King Abyss demons, Night God Emperor said plainly. He didn't put Dragon Palace in his eyes. With his current God Emperor realm, he could wipe out Dragon Palace with a flick of his finger. He didn't put it in his eyes at all. Lord Night God Emperor is right. A small dragon palace isn't worth our attention. The main thing is to deal with the Abyss demons tomorrow. We can't be careless. If we're unlucky tomorrow, there might be casualties. The Imperial Court Protector agreed. Then, the group started to discuss how to deal with the Abyss demons tomorrow. Just as they were discussing how to deal with the Abyss demons tomorrow, far away in the starry sky, one of the three major islands of the Imperial Star region, Pingy Island. At this moment, half of the Pingy Island was already swallowed by the Abyss. Located in the Pingy Island, in front of an Imperial Court's territory, was a vast and deep abyss. This was another part of the Abyss battlefield. At the front line of the battlefield, countless powerful battleships, war machines and burning stars lined up in front of the entrance of the Abyss. Looking at it, it was an incomparably shocking sight. What kind of scale was this? What kind of battlefield was this? In this starry sky, the air was filled with a cold atmosphere. Compared to this place, the battle on Cold Night Island was simply an ordinary one. This front line gathered 80% of the entire Imperial Court's power. There were at least 1 million God Emperor experts gathered. Deep in the abyss in front of the front line, there was a vast abyss ocean floating in the abyss. The sky blue ocean was deep and viscous. At this moment, in the center of the abyss ocean, there was a huge beast floating. Chapter 2761. Master, Major Discovery, Major Discovery! The gigantic beast was floating in the deep abyss. All of a sudden, a voice reverberated in the surroundings. Growl, growl. The gigantic beast let out a low growl and looked to the side. In front of it, the human, who was even smaller than an ant, was flying towards it. Hee hee, Brother Shaolan, I have something important to report to Master. The figure came to the front of the gigantic beast and giggled. The gigantic beast exuded a grayish aura. Just one of its eyes was 1,000 times the size of the human. Its entire body extended for at least 100 kilometers and its majestic aura surged to the surroundings from time to time. It was a true horrifying gigantic beast in the galaxy. The gigantic beast looked at the figure in front of it, and opened its mouth slightly. In its mouth, one could see a palace. It was a palace that occupied a radius of at least 10 kilometers and was located within its body. Tumsun, what did you discover? At this moment, a lady flew out from within. She also exuded a grayish aura and looked extremely mysterious. Master, look! Hurry up and look! The Tumsun looked at the lady with respect in his eyes. He immediately moved closer with a giggle and held a smart brain in his hand. The smart brain could no longer connect to the signal. However, it had downloaded a lot of content in advance. Master, Dragon Palace, Dragon King, look! Look! The Tumsun said to the lady with beaming eyes. What? The lady trembled as she looked at the information on the smart brain with excitement. After some time, she closed her eyes slightly. I knew that Xiao Xian would come to this galaxy. The lady was Lan Qingwei. Her eyes flickered as she spoke. And the gigantic beast was Xiao Lan. Master, what should we do now? Should we contact the Dragon King? Boo-hoo, I want to see the heroic figure of my male master. What kind of existence is he to be able to forge such a powerful dragon body and allow me to obtain the body of the Earth Divine Dragon? The Tumsun said in an exaggerated manner. Lan Qingwei cast an indifferent glance at him and pondered deeply. Go to the border between the Imperial Court and Yilang and pass me a message. She looked at the Tumsun and instructed. Yes, master. The scion immediately nodded. If I rush over now, I'll be able to reach there in 10 hours. Take Xiao Zhai and rush over from the abyss. Isn't the Cold Night Island going to attack the abyss tomorrow? Meet up with Xiao Xian and the others then. Lan Qingwei said with flickering eyes. Master, if I bring Little Mansion over, the moment we appear, the Imperial Court God Emperors will definitely know that we are lacking a Void God Emperor. They might attack us, the Tusonian said with a frown. Do they dare to enter the Sea of Abyss? Moreover, once they know that there are 2 Emperor God-level existences on Cold Night Island, they will definitely head over to provide support. Lan Qingwei said coldly. Then, Master, please be careful. I will lead the small mansion through the abyss. The Tucson pondered for a moment before nodding. In fact, Lan Qingyue's actions were a little risky. He brought the small manor away, and once the Imperial Court found out, the God Emperors of the Imperial Court would definitely attack. At that time, Xiao Lan would protect Lan Qingwei. However, the other races of the Abyss race might be massacred. Once too many of his subordinates died, it would be even more difficult to deal with the Imperial dynasty. However, as long as I can contact the Dragon King, it's worth it. He mumbled. He knew the position of the Dragon King in his master's heart. He also knew that the Dragon King wasn't any simpler than his master. After all, his divine dragon body was formed from the blood of the Dragon King. Little Mansion. He moved and exited Xiao Lan's mouth before shouting towards the outside. Little Mansion, Master has instructed us to go. He shouted towards the bottom of the Sea of Abyss. Woo-woo. At this moment, a reply was heard. 2 huge eyes were glowing brightly. The pupils were much smaller than Xiao Lan. However, the size of Little Mansion was completely different from Xiao Lan. If Xiao Lan was in the shape of a whale, then Little Mansion looked like an ancient dinosaur on Earth. It had a long tail and sharp claws. Its entire body was filled with spikes, making it look even more ferocious. Little Mansion, Lan Qingyue's second cousin. If Xiao Lan only looked huge and terrifying, then Little Mansion looked even more ferocious. Woo-woo. Little Mansion came to the front of the Tusonian. It was half the size of Xiao Lan. It looked towards Xiao Lan. Woo-woo. Xiao Lan nodded at it. Woo-woo. Little Mansion moaned softly and looked at the Tusonian. Let's go. The Tusonian shouted. It came to Little Mansion and pointed in a direction. Let's go. 1. Little Mansion's body shook and a black hole appeared in front of it. It was unbelievable to be able to teleport directly in the abyss. Time passed slowly. At the front line of the Imperial Court on the Cold Night Island, a tense atmosphere was born. Disciples of various forces floated in the air and lined up in the surroundings. Some experts instructed everyone while some forces lined up at the last minute. The next battle was definitely going to be a brutal one. Everyone knew that many people would die in this battle. The last-minute instructions and lining up were to reduce the casualties of the disciples. After all, this was the first time they were facing a large abyss race since they came to the abyss. Previously, even a force like the Nine Clouds Alliance didn't go against a large abyss race. Dragon King, it's almost time. In the Dragon Peak, Tianjin looked at the time and said, Wang Xian nodded and looked across the entire Dragon Peak. There was a total of 70,000 immortal kings. This was only what they showed. There were still 100,000 immortal kings and Dragon Palace disciples waiting for an opportunity. This time, the Dragon Palace had sent out most of their subordinates. All forces, gather here! At this moment, a voice sounded. Wang Xian looked to the side. A high platform suddenly appeared in front of him. 4 pinnacle immortal kings of the imperial court stood on both sides of the platform. All forces, gather here. Set aside the war machines and conduct a roll call. Another voice sounded again. Conduct a roll call? Are they going to count the number of people from each force? Should be. This is the first time the Night God Emperor has ordered all forces to send 2/3 of their forces. Some people in the surroundings heard the voice and whispered to each other as they flew forward. Let's go, we'll head over too. Wang Xian looked across and said to all the disciples. Yes. Tianjin and the disciples of the Dragon Palace flew out of the Dragon Peak immediately. Chapter 2762. Is this the power of the Dragon Palace? There are actually so many God Kings. Look, there are at least 70,000 of them. What power! The one beside the leading Dragon King should be an undying God King. The Dragon Palace is indeed powerful. This is only 2/3 of their strength. When Wang Xian led the group of experts from the Dragon Palace and flew over, the people from the surrounding forces looked over with astonished expressions. Each of the 70,000 members of the Dragon Palace exuded a powerful aura. 70,000 undying God Kings, this was only 2/3 of the Dragon Palace's strength. The entire Dragon Palace was much stronger than the Night Clan. I wonder how many undying God King Peak experts Dragon Palace has. Even the people from the Nine Heavens Great Sect were shocked when they looked over. The Dragon Palace was too powerful. Around them, some experts and disciples of the Night Clan Imperial Court flew over and cast a sidelong glance at Wang Xian and the rest. But soon, the Night Clan leader and the others smiled. This time, the Night Clan had 50,000 undying God Kings and 10 million God King disciples. The Imperial Court had 40,000 undying God Kings and over 20 million disciples below the God King level. The Nine Clouds Great Sect had more than 40,000 undying God Kings, millions of disciples below the God King realm. The other large sects all had 20 to 30,000 undying God Kings and over 100 million disciples below God King. These were all the elites of the Imperial Star region, the core experts. The number of undying God Kings that came for this battle was no less than 300,000. Buzz! Just when all the experts and disciples of the various forces had arrived, a figure appeared on the stage. It was shrouded in an aqua-blue light, making it look sacred and majestic. Night God Emperor scanned the surroundings coldly, his gaze lingering on the Dragon Palace for a few seconds. Greetings, Night God Emperor! Seeing the arrival of the Night God Emperor, everyone immediately bowed respectfully. His voice echoed throughout the void. Next, I will lead you to the abyss. This battle will be an important one. We will try our best to kill as many undying God King Peak Abyss creatures as possible. In this battle, I will restrain the Void God Emperor level Abyss species. As for the other battles, the Dragon Palace will be the leader. In this battle, the Dragon Palace must exterminate 3 Peak Stage undying God King Abyss species. The Night God Emperor stood above and calmly ordered. The words of the Night God Emperor stunned everyone. In the next moment, everyone looked in the direction of the Dragon Palace. Wan Xian stood there and wasn't too surprised by Night God Emperor's words. Wan Xian was aware of all their plans. Night God Emperor, why did my Dragon Palace take the lead? Why did you order my Dragon Palace to kill 3 undying God King beasts? Even though Wan Xian already knew about it, he couldn't show it now. His expression changed slightly as he asked in a low voice. Just because I owe the 2 patriarchs of the Sky Edge sect a favor, and because you tricked the Night Clan in the Dragon Palace. Is this explanation enough? Boom! The Night God Emperor stared at Wang Xian as a terrifying aura engulfed Wang Xian and the group. The immense pressure instantly caused Wang Xian and the rest to turn pale. Hiss this. Sure enough, Emperor Night God will attack the Dragon Palace. I didn't expect the Night God Emperor to owe the Sky Edge sect a favor. The Dragon Palace is doomed. Forcing the Dragon Palace to kill 3 peak immortal God King Abyss species. Even if the Dragon Palace could kill them, they would suffer a great loss. The Dragon Palace might be done for. When the forces saw the Night God Emperor's aura, their expressions changed as they thought to themselves. Guardians of the Imperial Court, our Dragon Palace has killed so many Abyss species, and now we are going to end up like this. Wang Xian looked at the 4 guardians of the Imperial Court and said with a bitter expression, The authority of an emperor is inviolable. Originally, the Night God Emperor wanted to destroy the Dragon Palace, but the Imperial Court pleaded on your behalf and he didn't. One of the guardians looked at Wang Xian and said plainly, Now that the Abyss has invaded and I'm the leader of this battle, I'll give the Dragon Palace a chance to redeem yourself. As long as the Dragon Palace can kill 3 peak immortal God King beasts and make a great contribution, I can let you off. The Dragon Palace doesn't have to doubt my words. But if you don't complete the contribution, I'll wipe out your puny Dragon Palace with a wave of my hand. Humph, if it was during normal times, you wouldn't even have a chance to live. The Night God Emperor said coldly. Wang Xian stood there and his expression changed. Does the Dragon Palace agree? The Night God Emperor asked coldly again as he continued to press forward with his aura. Once Wang Xian said no, he would have to face the attack of the Night God Emperor. I hope the Night God Emperor will keep his words. Wang Xian closed his eyes and said, Of course, I won't lie to your puny Dragon Palace. The Night God Emperor said plainly. All forces, bring your war machines and follow me into the battlefield. The Night God Emperor shouted as he turned and flew towards the abyss. The Dragon Palace will be in the center. The leader of the Night Clan said coldly. Disciples of the Dragon Palace, enter the Dragon Peak. Wang Xian let out a soft cry and flew straight towards the Dragon Peak. The group of disciples followed immediately. Arriving at the Dragon Peak, Wang Xian stood on the command platform and scanned the surroundings coldly. Let's go over, he said plainly. The sky array drove the Dragon Peak to the center in front. On the left and right were the disciples of the Night Clan and the Imperial Court. The massive Dragon Peak of the Dragon Palace was exceptionally eye-catching. Dragon Bay, get your long-range disciples to stay in the war machines. All close combat disciples, come out. When the massive Dragon Peak arrived, the Night God Emperor, who was floating in the air, ordered again. Roving heavens, roving sword! Wang Xian gestured to them, and the 2 of them flew towards the left and right of the Dragon Peak. At the same time, in the Dragon Peak, other than Mao Zedong and the other arrow dragons, the rest were on both sides of the Dragon Peak. Great! Follow me into the abyss! The Night God Emperor shouted. Let's go! The leader of the Night Clan and the rest shouted. Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Immediately, the disciples of the Night Clan, the Imperial Court, and the other factions raised their weapons and roared. They followed behind and flew forward. I'm afraid the Dragon King and the rest will suffer heavy losses in this battle. The Night God Emperor will only let the Dragon Palace off after killing 3 pinnacle immortal King God King Abyss species. That's going to be tough. Who knows, the pinnacle immortal King experts of the Dragon Palace might fall. Hee, I think this is a good thing for us. With the Dragon Palace dealing with most of the Abyss species, we will have less pressure and losses. That's true. With the Dragon Palace around, we won't lose much even if we lose more. Some forces looked at the Dragon Palace and discussed. Some forces were gloating over the misfortune of the Dragon Palace. Chapter 2763 Rumble, Rumble, Rumble. Close to 300,000 undying god kings and over 100 million disciples stepped into the abyss under Night God Emperor's lead. At this moment, everyone's fighting spirit surged up. Roar, roar, roar! However, when they stepped into the abyss, a violent roar was heard from the depths of the abyss. Night God Emperor, who was at the front, was startled as he stared ahead. Roar, roar, roar! At this moment, the roar from the depths of the abyss was heard again. Roar, roar, roar! Roar, roar, roar! Ga, ga, ga! The next moment, the entire abyss seemed to be boiling. All sorts of powerful roars were heard, as if they were responding to the king of the abyss. Rumble, rumble, rumble! At the same time, they could clearly feel waves of terrifying energy surging towards them from the left and right. The entire abyss seemed to be experiencing an earthquake. The roars were incessant. Night God Emperor scanned the surroundings. 13 pinnacle undying god kings, he said faintly, his voice reaching everyone's ears. 13. On our side, the Imperial Court has 4 protectors, the Night Clan has 3, the 9 Heavens Realm, Sky Demon, and Sky Edge have 5. That's 10. I don't know how many Dragon Palace has. Dragon Palace wants to kill those 3 pinnacle undying god kings. I wonder if they can do it. Even if they can't, they have to do it. Let's hope Dragon Palace can show their prowess and fight them to the death. Hee, that way, we will have less pressure. Everyone stay alert. The abyss creatures are not weaker than us. Some people heard this number and discussed softly. Wang Xian stood on the command platform and squinted his eyes when he heard these voices. My God nation! A voice was heard from above. Everyone looked over in shock. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Behind the abyss, a huge void divine kingdom appeared. It was huge and majestic. The void divine kingdom emitted a sky blue light and flew over. Lord Night God Emperor is using his void god nation. SSS, what a powerful aura. It can actually change a part of heaven and earth. Look, it's raining over here. Everyone looked over and saw the rainwater falling in their direction. Everyone's hearts trembled. This was the God Emperor. Haha, having just reached the Void God Emperor realm, Night God Emperor needs to borrow the power of the Void God nation to fight. Otherwise, if he really fought with that Abyss God Emperor, he might not be a match for him. On the Dragon Peak, Tianjin said disdainfully. When he was at his peak, he could destroy the Night God Emperor alone. Even if he was no longer in the abyss, he could not let him escape. This was the confidence of an array master. It would be great if that Void God Emperor Abyss Seed directly fought with Night God Emperor, said Wang Xian plainly. The possibility is small. An existence at such a realm would probably need to kill 1 or 2 undying God King Peak Abyssal species before that God Emperor Abyssal species would act. Tianjin shook his head at the side. That's not good. Wang Xian shook his head slightly. If that Void God Emperor level Abyss species could charge over and fight with Night God Emperor, then Dragon Palace could at least kill a few more undying God Kings. As long as they killed a few more, this battle would be even more stable. But according to Tianjin's experience, and the previous battles, that God Emperor level Abyss species would not charge over directly. If that was the case, Dragon Palace could only launch a sneak attack when the battle started, and then Tianjin would stop Night God Emperor. At that time, even if Dragon Palace could only use 2 undying God Kings, they would not be afraid in a chaotic battle. After all, the Night Clan still had to fight against the Abyss species. Most importantly, Dragon Palace had many 9th stage undying God Kings. Hua la la! The majestic Void God nation flew up into the sky, and rain started to fall in their region. Everyone raised their heads to take a look. At this time, when the Void God nation arrived in the depths of the abyss, an abyss seed with huge wings was lying on top of a meteor. The entire meteor was emitting intense flames, and a huge God Emperor level abyss seed was lying there. When it sensed the void god nation, it raised its head slightly, and its 3 fiery eyes were filled with rage. Its wings started to move slowly, and its body stood on top of the meteor. Boom! In the next moment, it flapped its wings and flew forward. Ga! In front, all the abyss seed species were flying over, and all kinds of roars shook the entire abyss. At least tens of billions of abyss seed species were gathering at the center. The battle was about to begin. Huh! Night God Emperor, who was standing on top of his void god nation, frowned slightly when he sensed the aura coming from the depths of the abyss. That God Emperor abyss seed was flying over. Prepare to attack! Night God Emperor's eyes flashed coldly, and he licked his lips as he ordered. Yes! Everyone replied loudly. Dragon Palace, lead! On the left of Long Foam, the Night Clan leader shouted coldly. Go! Wang Xian squinted his eyes. In front of them was the largest abyss seed species, and 3 undying God King abyss seed leaders. Rumble, rumble! Long Foam flew forward, and the experts from Dragon Palace followed on its left and right. Dragon Palace was the first to charge forward. The surrounding forces were about 10 kilometers behind Dragon Palace. They did it on purpose. Wan Xian swept his gaze over, and did not say anything. Everything was under their control. At this moment, an incomparably terrifying roar and the smell of sulfur directly rushed over here. In the sky ahead, a void god Emperor abyss seed burning in flames was charging over. Its 3 eyes stared at Night God Emperor's void god nation, and it flapped its wings. Huh! That God Emperor abyss seed is charging over. SSS. It is actually attacking. When everyone saw the God Emperor abyss seed charging over, their expressions changed. Logically speaking, when they were fighting, 2 God Emperor experts would be at the back to suppress them. But they did not expect this void God Emperor abyss seed to charge over directly. This went against common sense. Huh! I'll leave the battlefield here to you guys. I will go and deal with this God Emperor abyss seed. Night God Emperor squinted his eyes and roared coldly. Our Imperial Court will take over the battlefield. Dragon Palace will deal with the abyss seed species, and leave the rest to us. The 4 guardians of Imperial Court roared when they heard this. Yes! All the surrounding forces and experts immediately responded in a loud voice. Hee, the heavens are really helping our Dragon Palace. At this moment, Wang Xian saw this and smiled. Chapter 2764. All disciples, prepare yourselves. All disciples, prepare yourselves for battle. Inside the abyss, when Night God Monarch flew up to meet the Void God Emperor abyss species, the leaders of the other forces stared at their surroundings and shouted. The Dragon Palace was fighting against the largest abyssal species at the forefront, but the other forces still had to deal with many large abyssal species. Hence, even the Imperial Court and Night Clan were solemn. Boom! Walala! Boom, boom, boom! At this moment, a terrifying collision sound was heard from above. Fire and water clashed. Fire whizzed, rain splashed. A battle between God Emperors started instantly. Prepare for the second plan! At this moment, Wan Xian looked at Tianjin from the Dragon Peak and licked his lips with a smile. Yes, Dragon King! Tianjin's eyes were also filled with excitement as he nodded his head. At this moment, a roar came from the front. The attack of the abyss species had arrived. All disciples of Dragon Palace, prepare yourselves! Wan Xian stared at the abyss species and shouted. Yes! Kill! The order was passed down. Within the Dragon Peak, all members of the Heaven's Eye arrow unit fired their arrows. Swish, swish, swish! In an instant, countless arrows covered the sky and the earth, rushing toward the abyss species in front of them. Swish, swish! In front of the Dragon Peak, arrows appeared one by one, forming a monster that attacked 3 pinnacle immortal god king abyss species. Boom, boom, boom! In an instant, the battle on Dragon Palace's side erupted. The powerful archers pierced through the abyss species with their arrows. In an instant, at least 1,000,000 abyss species were killed. One should know that this was more than 40,000 immortal god king level arrow dragon species. The entire abyss species added up was only slightly more than 40,000 immortal god king abyss species. SSS, the archers of Dragon Palace are so terrifying. I have to say that they are really strong. Very strong indeed. With Dragon Palace's strength, I feel that they can easily annihilate this abyss species. Impressive. It's best that after Dragon Palace annihilates this race, they can help us deal with the other races. Some of the surrounding forces were shocked when they saw the battle on the Dragon Palace's side. The powerful archers instantly killed millions of abyss creatures. There was no lack of undying god king level ones among them. It was truly terrifying. It seems like the requirement for the Dragon Palace order is too low. On the side of Imperial Dynasty, the 4 protectors looked over and said calmly, "What a pity! This Dragon Palace is indeed powerful and has great potential. However, it has offended an Emperor God." An Imperial Court protector shook his head calmly. On their side, the abyss species had yet to rush over, so there was no outbreak of battle. None of the forces expressed any intention to help the Dragon Palace. In the sky, Night God Emperor and that Void God Emperor ranked abyss species were engaged in an all-out battle. The Dragon Palace in front also collided with the abyss species. "Get ready, our battle is about to begin!" At this moment, the 4 protectors of the Imperial Dynasty looked to the sides. An aura surged from their bodies as they locked onto the peak undying god king abyss beasts. The abyssal races in the surroundings had already rushed over. "Brother Masako, Brother Wu Lin, let's find a chance to eliminate one of the peak undying god king abyss beasts." On the other side of the Dragon Peak, Night Clan Chief and the rest looked at the 2 old ancestors from Sky Border Sect and said, "No problem, the 5 of us against 3, let's find a chance to eliminate one." 8-headed Beast, who was parasitizing Masako, smirked and said, "Ha ha ha, great, let's have a good battle today." Night Clan Chief and the rest laughed with fighting spirit on their faces. "Fight!" The surrounding disciples also roared with fighting spirit. "Kill!" Very quickly, the abyss species charged over and an all-out battle erupted. "Let's lock onto these 3!" Night Clan Chief roared and attacked the peak undying god king abyss species. "Hong hong hong!" At the side, the peak god king abyss devil and 8-headed beast charged over. The clash started instantly. "It has begun!" At this moment, Wang Xian, who was standing on the Dragon Peak, squinted his eyes as the battle erupted. "The plan can begin!" He lifted his head to look at the battle between Night God Emperor and the Void God Emperor abyss species and smiled. "All disciples of Dragon Palace, get ready! Kill them!" At this moment, Wang Xian's face revealed a crazed expression as a violent murderous aura surged from his body. Everything that he had endured for a period of time was finally unleashed. And everything that he had planned for a period of time was about to be unleashed. Wang! After Wang Xian's order was given, the grayish-green leaves on the Dragon Peak floated out and connected together, covering the front. This was a defensive array. It could hold off the countless abyss species for a few minutes. That was enough. Wang Xian's roar was filled with murderous aura, but it did not attract the attention of the surrounding experts. To them, the roar in the battle was directed at the abyss species. However, in the midst of battle, they did not notice that the arrows on the archery platform had already changed direction. "Night Clan Chief, the 3 of you hold off the attacks. Let the 3 of you see our trump card." "Ha!" At this moment, in the void on the left, Orochi, Night Clan Chief and the other 4 were fighting against 3 peak undying god king abyss species. Yamata no Orochi laughed and roared with great power. "Oh? Alright, we will hold them off. Let us see how strong you 2 are." The leader of the Night Clan raised his eyebrows and said with a smile, The three of them moved and immediately blocked the attacks of the three-peak Undying God King Abyss species. Begin the slaughter. Yamada no Orochi and Masha exchanged glances. Their gazes swept across the void as they roared with violent expressions. A vast power gathered around their bodies. All right. Night Clan Chief and the rest smiled when they felt the aura from Orochi and the rest. Rumble. However, at this moment, the Yaki demon Sha moved with a terrifying aura and attacked the Yi clan leader and the others. Huh! Brother Fengyao Ziyu. Oh no, they want to kill us. What are you doing? The sudden and instantaneous change stunned the Night Clan leader and the others. Then, they roared in anger. Whoosh whoosh. At this moment, an arrow flew towards them. Clang clang clang. However, this was not the end. Other than the sudden appearance of the arrow, there were three extremely sharp sword radiants. One wind attribute, one lightning attribute, and one fire attribute. All of them had the offensive power of a peak Undying God King. Chapter 2765. What? Damn it, Sky Edge Sect, what are you doing? When the Orochi, Masha, arrows, and three sharp swords arrived, the faces of the Yi clan's patriarch and the other two changed drastically. Their faces were filled with terror as they screamed. Boom! But everything happened too fast. They had just defended against the Abyss Seed Undying God King and now they had to face the Orochi's attacks. The arrows came from Mao-Zisan's attacks, they were also attacks from the Immortal Slaying Gourd. As for the three swords, they were three attacks from the Immortal Slaying Gourd. The Immortal Slaying Gourd had not been used for a few months and now there were more than a dozen swords inside. In terms of power, it was much stronger than before. One could say that at this moment, the Night Clan leader and the other two were facing the attacks of 9 Undying God Kings. And it was a sudden attack. Boom boom boom! The Orochi and Mao-Zisan's attacks instantly landed on their bodies. The powerful destructive power caused a large amount of blood to spurt out from their bodies. Their bodies were sent flying backward. Clang clang clang! The attacks of the three sharp swords followed closely, without the slightest pause. The Night Clan leader and the other two saw the terrifying attacks and unleashed a powerful aura as they erected layers of defense in front of them. Pun pun pun! However, the defense that was hastily released did not block the three sharp swords' attack. Ka ka! The swords pierced through the defense and landed on their bodies, worsening their injuries. Kill! The Orochi and the other three's eyes were filled with murderous intent as they pressed forward and continued to attack. Mao-Zisan's arrows came again. Oh no! Oh no! The three were injured from the sneak attack. Their hearts sank as they saw the Orochi and the others attacking again. When their attacks arrived, two screams were heard. One of the Night Clan's ancestors had his head pierced by Mao-Zisan's arrow. His body trembled violently. Another ancestor's head was cut off by the Orochi. However, a sky blue shield appeared in front of the Night Clan leader's chest and blocked the Orochi's attack. No, Sky Edge Sect, how dare you collude with Dragon Palace? You're courting death! The clan leader of the Yi clan blocked the fatal attack. He looked at his father and another old ancestor, whose life force was rapidly disappearing. Until now, he still didn't understand why the two patriarchs of the World Edge sect attacked them. Why would the two patriarchs of the Sky Edge sect ally with the experts of the Dragon Palace? Weren't they mortal enemies? His father's death and the death of one of the Night Clan's patriarchs had infuriated him. Those who offend my Dragon Palace shall die! However, at this moment, a black and white shadow suddenly appeared behind him. A cold voice was transmitted into the Night Clan leader's mind. Pooh! In the next moment, a sharp claw directly pierced into his chest, and a sickle-like arm cut off his head. The leader of the Yi clan, who was furious just a moment ago, was instantly silenced. What? What happened? The battle just now had only taken place in 10 seconds. 10 seconds was too short. All the experts and disciples of the Yi clan below did not have time to react to the sudden change. When they heard the two screams, the furious roar of the Yi clan's patriarch, and the death of the Yi clan's patriarch, everyone finally reacted. Why did the two patriarchs of the Sky Edge sect attack our patriarch? Why did they collude with Dragon Palace? Our patriarch was killed. Patriarch of the Sky Edge sect and Dragon Palace? How could this be? How could this be? At this moment, all the experts and disciples of the Yi clan shouted in horror when they saw their patriarch fall. Why? How could this happen? Who would have thought that the patriarchs of the Sky Edge sect and Dragon Palace would join forces to sneak an attack on their patriarch? The death of their patriarch and patriarch made their hearts tremble violently. Dragon Palace and Sky Edge sect killed our patriarch and patriarch. Be careful, be careful. An elder of the Yi clan came to his senses and immediately shouted at everyone. Retreat! Retreat now! An elder of the Yi clan shouted hurriedly. There were a group of abyss demons in front of them, but the sudden change and the death of their patriarch and patriarch made them extremely terrified. At this moment, they could no longer fight. Kill! However, at this moment, a cold roar was heard from the side. Pft, pft, pft. At the side, the venom-horned dragons that were parasitizing the experts of the Sky Edge sect moved at this moment. Because of the alliance between the Sky Edge sect and the Yi clan, they were all on the same side. The sudden attack caught many people of the Yi clan off guard. Ah! In an instant, tens of thousands of experts and disciples of the Yi clan were killed. Especially the venom-horned dragons that were parasitizing the three elders of the Sky Edge sect. While the Yi clan was still in a state of shock and anger, the venom-horned dragons sneaked an attack on the three elders of the Yi clan and killed them instantly. The Sky Edge sect has betrayed us. Kill them! Kill them! An elder of the Yi clan roared with bloodshot eyes when he saw the three elders of the Sky Edge sect kill three of their elders. However, at this moment, most of the people of the Sky Edge sect were also dumbfounded. Why did the patriarch and the others sneak attack the patriarch of the Yi clan? Why did their elders suddenly attack the people of the Yi clan? However, when they saw the surrounding experts of the Yi clan lock onto them with murderous intent, their expressions changed drastically. Boom, boom, boom! A series of attacks were launched towards them. Kill! Seeing the attacks, they could only fight back. If they didn't fight back, they would die. However, once they fought back, the situation became chaotic. Kill them! In the center, more than a dozen elders of the Yi clan looked at the three elders of the Sky Edge sect. They clenched their fists and roared. They attacked the three elders of the Sky Edge great sect in unison. Pft, pft, pft. All of a sudden, sounds of something penetrating could be heard. Sixth elder, eighth elder, 13th elder. Fifth elder, what are you doing? What are you doing? The dozen elders who rushed over suddenly heard the changes beside them. 9 of them looked over and their eyes widened instantly. They were filled with disbelief. Ha ha ha, the Dragon Palace is invincible. All of you must die. An excited voice came from the 3 elders of the Yi clan. There were 3 corpses beside them. You actually. The remaining 9 elders couldn't believe it. The elders of the Yi clan, who were the core of the Yi clan, had been betrayed. Their descendants were all members of the Yi clan. The blood of the Yi clan flowed in their veins. Ah! Why do you want to kill me? Why? There's a traitor in the Yi clan. Chapter 2766 Uproar. Complete uproar. On the Night Clan's side, everyone panicked. The 3 patriarchs of the Night Clan were suddenly killed. The elders of the Sky Edge ambushed them and killed them. The 3 elders betrayed them and ambushed them. At this moment, cries of pain and terror could be heard from behind. The experts of the Night Clan were attacking their own people. Many of the Night Clan were dumbfounded. What was going on? Were they hallucinating? The 3 elders betrayed us, the Sky Edge betrayed us, and now we have people who betrayed us. Retreat, retreat, retreat! The 9 elders scanned the surroundings with their blood-red eyes as they ordered loudly, feeling like their hearts were collapsing. Even the elders could betray them. How many of the disciples could betray them? Were there any more traitors among the 9 elders? Chaos, complete chaos. Especially at this moment, the abyss creatures were already charging over. Internal chaos, the Sky Edge sect and the Night Clan fighting, and the betrayal of the elders. How could they fight at this moment? In the sky, the 3-peak Undying God King Abyss creatures were stunned. What was going on? The 5 who were fighting against them just now were fighting amongst themselves. And 3 of them were killed. Kill! Kill everyone from the Night Clan! At this moment, the Yaki demon fiend and the others moved. They locked onto the 9 elders of the Night Clan and charged over with terrifying aura. The demon fiend waved his arm and terrifying flames engulfed the Night Clan. The Sky Edge sect and Dragon Palace betrayed us and killed our patriarch and 2 patriarchs. Protector of the Imperial Court, please send reinforcements. One of the Night Clan's patriarchs saw the Yaki demon fiend, and his heart pounded as he roared. Something happened to the Night Clan! Oh no, the Sky Edge sect and Dragon Palace joined forces? At this moment, the Imperial Court on the right side of Dragon Peak sensed the changes in the Night Clan. Especially the roar of the Night Clan's patriarch and the furious orders of the elders. This gave them a bad premonition. Attack! At this moment, a cold voice rang in the ears of the Imperial Court's experts and disciples. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. A sky full of arrows suddenly rained down on them. All the Imperial Court's experts and disciples were shocked. At this moment, they were fighting against the abyss creatures in front of them. Boom! Dragon Palace, are you rebelling? Dragon King, are you courting death? You actually dare to attack people from the Imperial Dynasty. Do you know what you are doing? In the sky, the 4 protectors of the Imperial Court were fighting with the 4 Undying God King Peak Abyssal Beasts. Sensing the sky full of arrows, they roared with ugly expressions. This small Dragon Palace actually dared to resist the people who attacked the Imperial Court. Were they tired of living? Ha ha ha, all the disciples of Dragon Palace, kill them all. Kill everyone from the Imperial Court today! Maniacal laughter could be heard as figures dashed out one after another. Wang Xian took the lead. His palms turned into dragon claws as he charged towards the Imperial Court. Beside him, roving heavens, roving Qi, roving Xingmu, roving sword, and 3 dragon guards were riding on the horizon ruler. An expert from the Dragon Palace was riding on the dragon machinery, roving phoenix, and roving earth. Similarly, they were charging towards the Imperial Court with a terrifying aura. As for Sky Formation, he stood on the command platform, controlling the array formation to block the abyssal race in front of him. Oh no, the experts of Dragon Palace are coming! SSS, what terrifying aura! Pinnacle Undying God King! The Dragon King and the rest are all Pinnacle Undying God King experts. Lord Protector! When Wang Xian and the group dashed over, some experts could sense their prowess. Their eyes widened and were filled with shock. That terrifying aura belonged to all Pinnacle Undying God King experts. 1, 2, 3. 9. A total of 9. How is this possible? The 4 protectors who were fighting the Pinnacle Undying God King Abyss Beasts felt the aura of Wang Xian and the rest. They looked over and their hearts raced. Die! A cold voice reverberated across the area as the terrifying dragon claws struck towards all the experts and disciples of the Imperial Court. Die! Roving Heavens, Roving Qi, Roving Xingmu, and the rest of the members attacked as well. Destructive attacks engulfed everyone. Dragon King, stop! All of you stop! If you dare to kill the disciples of the Imperial Court, we will not let you off. We will not let the Dragon Palace off. All of you from the Dragon Palace will suffer from the revenge of the Imperial Court. Stop! An Imperial Court protector looked over and roared in fear. His voice reverberated across the entire battlefield. Ha ha ha, Imperial Court, we will kill your people today. None of you can leave today. Do you think the Dragon Palace doesn't know about the plot of the Imperial Court and Emperor Night God? To let the Dragon Palace fight the Abyss Beasts to the death. Even if we succeed in the end, the Imperial Court will punish us in the future. Ha ha ha, today is the day the Imperial Court pays the price. All of you will die. All of you will die. Wang Xian roared with murderous intent. It had been a long time since Wang Xian had such murderous intent. His disciple, Bei Shuang, was killed. The Imperial Court and Emperor Night God had schemed against the Dragon Palace and wanted to destroy them. All of these had made Wang Xian decide to fall out with the Imperial Court. This time, he would kill as many people from the Imperial Court as he could. Moreover, Wang Xian was very satisfied with the start of the battle. What's going on? The Dragon Palace is attacking the Night Race Imperial Court? SSS, what are the Dragon Palace doing? Are they courting death? Damn it, the Dragon Palace actually attacked the Imperial Court and Night Race at this moment. All disciples, get ready to retreat from the abyss. When the other forces heard the roars, their expressions changed. Some were shocked. Some were furious. There were also people who were incomparably shocked and furious. The Dragon Palace actually attacked the Imperial Court and Night Race. The Sky Edge sect actually allied with the Dragon Palace. Unbelievable. Protectors, save me. Save me, protectors, no, I don't want to die. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Panic and despair descended. The 20 million disciples of the Imperial Court looked at the attacks descending upon them in fear. The full-powered attacks of the 9 Undying God King experts covered all of them. They couldn't block it. They couldn't block it at all. Even if they went all out, they could at most block the attacks of 2 Undying God King experts. But this time, there were too many of them. A destructive attack that seemed like the end of the world descended upon them. Countless disciples roared and cried for help. Those princes and princesses who were once proud of the great Imperial Court were filled with despair at this moment. No! The 4 protectors of the Imperial Court looked over and roared with unwillingness. Emperor Night God Emperor, save our people. Chapter 2767. Lord Night God Emperor, save our Imperial Dynasty people. When one of the protectors from the Imperial Court called for help, Night God Emperor, who was fighting against the Void God Emperor Abyss Seed in the sky, had an extremely ugly expression on his face. Hong hong hong! In front of him, the Void God Emperor Abyss species sent waves of berserk energy towards him. In the sky above, a flame occupied one side of the sky, and a sky-blue water law occupied the other. But on his side, the ferocious flames continued to charge at him. At this moment, Night God Emperor realized that compared to some of the older Void God Emperors, there was still a huge gap. At least he knew that he wasn't the opponent of this Void God Emperor Abyss species. After all, he had just become a Void God Emperor a few days ago and hadn't fully settled down. But because of his inheritance, he could block the attacks of the Abyss species. Even if he couldn't win, he wouldn't lose in a short period of time. But the Void God Emperor's Abyss species was incomparably berserk, and his attacks came one after another. He could only block it time and time again. What he didn't know was that this Abyss species was extremely berserk in its heart. Recently, it realized that many of its underlings had died. Especially the last time, 3 of them had died at once. At that time, it was being suppressed by a fella giving off white light and couldn't go over to help. This time, it was attacking again. Did it really think it was easy to bully? That was why it flew over and attacked this fella fiercely, to let this fella know how strong it was. Damn it! Night God Emperor looked down and saw that terrifying aura. His eyes were filled with killing intent. Just now, when the Night Clan Patriarch roared, he had already sensed it. But because of the attacks of the Abyss species, he couldn't focus on it. Now that he looked over, endless rage surged in his heart. Over at the Night Clan, the 2 old ancestors of the Sky Edge sect were killing the Night Clan people. Over at the Imperial Dynasty, the 9 Peak Undying God King's attacks covered everyone in the Imperial Dynasty. His descendant, the Night Clan Patriarch, the father of the Night Clan Patriarch, and the other old ancestor were all dead. Ho! Dragon Palace Dragon King, you are courting death. You are asking for it. At this moment, the Night God Emperor couldn't help but let out a roar as he bellowed furiously at the people below. Boom, boom, boom! However, as soon as he finished speaking, an incomparably terrifying explosion came from below. The powerful force was not inferior to the battlefield on his side. Oh! No, no, no! A blood-curdling scream resounded throughout the battlefield. At this moment, the entire abyssal species battlefield suddenly fell silent. Everyone in the surroundings looked over in shock. Their eyes were wide open and filled with shock. At this moment, even countless abyssal species paused and looked over in shock. The all-out attack of 9 peak-stage God-King powerhouses landed in the same area. With such terrifying energy, even the abyssal species revealed a look of horror. In the sky, the Void God Emperor Abyss Seed that was currently furiously attacking the Night God Emperor also looked down. Looking at the wave of attacks, Zhang Xian was slightly taken aback, his eyes filled with doubt. As a God Emperor level abyssal species, his intelligence was no weaker than an ordinary human's. The situation below seemed to be an internal strife between humans. Moreover, those dozen or so people were comparable to his strongest subordinates. Internal strife between humans? This Dragon Palace is actually attacking the Imperial Court. That attack? SSS. Why does the Dragon Palace have so many terrifying experts? Peak Stage God Kings, all of them are Peak Stage God Kings. At this moment, all the forces and experts focused their attention on this area. Their eyes were wide open and filled with shock. From the Sky Edge sect and the experts of the Dragon Palace joining forces to ambush the Night Clan, to the Dragon King leading 8 peak stage God Kings to cover all the experts and disciples of the Imperial Court with one move. When the experts scanned the area with their spiritual senses, they could sense that there was no longer any signs of life in that space. No, there were still a few hundred signs of life. But this was the Imperial Court's 20 million experts and disciples. Even if they weren't the core of the Imperial Court, there were still over 20 elder-level existences. And they were gone just like that. Night God Emperor, it's not our Dragon Palace that is seeking death. It's your Night Clan and the Imperial Court that are seeking death. During this period of time, our Dragon Palace will return all the humiliation you have suffered. Ha! Wang Xian lifted his head and looked into the sky. His eyes were filled with coldness and eeriness. Laozu, 2 Laozu from the Dragon Palace and the Sky Edge sect have killed 3 of our Laozu. There are many traitors in our Night Clan. They have betrayed us. Laozu, hurry up and kill them! Just as Wang Xian finished his sentence, an elder on the left shouted at Night God Emperor. One day, Night God Emperor will join you. This is the consequence of offending our Dragon Palace. Orochi laughed with a sinister look. All of you die. Night God Emperor was burning with anger. His eyes were bloodshot, and the surrounding blue seawater was boiling. He waved his arm and a water dragon pillar was formed. However, at this moment, a ferocious roar could be heard in front of him. A gigantic figure charged directly towards the Night God Emperor. Bastard, get lost! Night God Emperor bellowed furiously. When the Void God Emperor Abyss Seed heard him, a ferocious glint flashed in its eyes and the murderous aura on its body intensified. Ha! Continue. Kill all the disciples of the Night Clan of the Imperial Court today. Seeing Night God Emperor being entangled by the Void God Emperor Abyss Seed, Wang Xian laughed and ordered. Dragon King, do you know what you are doing? The wrath of the Imperial Court isn't something you can bear. Not far away, the 4 guardians of the Imperial Court looked as though they were bleeding as they bellowed furiously. Ha! Imperial Court, even if we don't do anything today, will you let us off? If it wasn't for our Dragon Palace controlling the 2 Laozu from the Sky Edge sect, we wouldn't have known about the plot between you and Night God Emperor. Kill! Wang Xian locked his cold eyes on the 4 guardians of the Imperial Court with murderous intent. Kill! Beside him, Aochi, and the rest roared and charged over. All experts and disciples of the forces, listen up. The Imperial Court will issue a kill order. All forces, attack the people of the Dragon Palace. All forces, attack. After this battle, the Imperial Court will reward you according to your contributions. Seeing Wang Xian and the rest charging over, one of the guardians of the Imperial Court announced loudly, "Anyone who goes against the Dragon Palace shall die." But just as he finished his sentence, Wang Xian issued a warning. Chapter 2768. This, SSS, the Imperial Court has issued an order. What should we do? What should we do? How many Immortal King Peak Immortal King experts does Dragon Palace have? At least a dozen? Are we going against Dragon Palace? When everyone heard the orders of the guardians of the Imperial Court and Wang Xian's words, their expressions changed drastically. Help the Imperial Court attack Dragon Palace? But when they saw the large number of corpses in the void above the Imperial Court, their hearts pounded violently. Dragon Palace actually had a dozen Immortal King Peak Immortal King experts. If Dragon Palace were to take revenge, this Emperor orders all forces to attack Dragon Palace immediately. Those who disobey this order, this Emperor will personally annihilate you all. However, at this moment, a loud voice filled with rage came from the highest point in the sky. Night God Emperor's expression was extremely ugly as he withstood the attacks of the God Emperor level Abyss species in front of him. He was extremely frustrated. Dragon Palace's Dragon King must die, must die. In front of him, the immortal Emperor Abyss species that he was fighting heard him and roared with 3 eyes, issuing orders. Gagaga! At this moment, the group of Immortal King Peak Immortal King Abyss species roared in response and gave orders to their underlings. The next moment, all the Abyss species retreated. They wanted to avoid this battle. They wanted to watch the humans fight amongst themselves. The Abyss species retreated, they retreated. At this moment, everyone was shocked to see the Abyss species retreating. But this was a good thing for the Night Race Protector and the rest. But it was also a good thing for Dragon Palace. All forces, attack now! Attack and annihilate Dragon Palace! The 4 Imperial Court Protectors roared. All forces heard this, and their expressions changed drastically. All Sky Demon Cult disciples, get ready to help the Imperial Court and Night Race against Dragon Palace. The old ancestor of Sky Demon Cult hesitated before roaring. The Imperial Court had given the order, and so had Emperor Night God. If they didn't act, the Imperial Court and Night God Emperor might annihilate them. Now that they were going against Dragon Palace, they wouldn't be annihilated as long as they were careful. Attack the Dragon Palace! We are on the side of the Imperial Court and the Night Clan. We are traitors who attack the humans! Some of the other forces on the Cold Night Island immediately chimed in. On the Demon Island of the 9 Clouds, Yu and the others heard the orders from the Imperial Court and Night God Monarch, and their expressions kept changing. The leaders of the North River Sect, the Dragon Python Group, and the Ancient God Dynasty turned pale. The threat of the Night God Emperor was too great. Ha ha ha! All enemies of the Dragon Palace, kill! Seeing this, Wang Xian was still laughing heartily. Tsk tisk! It's time for a massacre! With the retreat of the abyssal races, the heavenly formation did not need to be activated to stop them. His eyes were filled with fighting spirit and awe. It was very, very old. There had never been such a carefree and bloody battle. He controlled Dragon Peak and immediately attacked the 4 protectors of the Imperial Court. Anyone who dares to offend my Dragon Palace shall die! Those who offend my Dragon Palace shall die! Boom, boom, boom! At this moment, murderous voices came from outside the abyss. At least hundreds of thousands of people roared in unison, causing everyone to be slightly startled. A ferocious and violent murderous aura surged over. All the forces, over 100 million people, immediately looked towards the back. This is SSS, oh my god, this is... Shocked, incoherent voices were heard. Everyone widened their eyes and their mouths were slightly agape. Even the 9 Clouds sect, Heaven Shattering sect, and Yu sect were dumbfounded. From outside the abyss, about 200,000 figures were charging over. There were dragons and phoenixes with surging heavenly lightning and earthly fire. There were imperial dragons that were emitting earthly yellow radiance. There were berserk dragons that were surrounded by violent blood-red energy. There were dragon guards that looked emotionless, holding sharp swords in their hands. A total of 200,000 members unleashed their powerful aura at the same time. They lined up in a row, and none of them was weaker than a level 1 immortal god king. 200,000 members of the Dragon Palace charged over. All of them are immortal god kings. All of them. Is this the full strength of the Dragon Palace? This time, there are only 300,000 experts from all the forces here, including the 70,000 from the Dragon Palace. Now, all the forces felt their scalps go numb when they saw the experts from the Dragon Palace charging over. This meant that the Dragon Palace had close to 300,000 immortal god kings. Motherfucker, how terrifying. Gulp! All the experts and disciples of the Sky Demon sect swallowed their saliva as they looked at the experts from the Dragon Palace charging over. Dragon Palace already had a huge advantage, and now with another 200,000 immortal god kings, how could they fight? Fuck, without the Dragon Palace, we don't even know if the Dragon Python group would still exist. If we don't kill the people from the Dragon Palace, they will destroy us. Fuck, the Dragon Python group is not ungrateful people. All brothers, let's destroy the Imperial Court and the Night Race. There is not a single coward in the Dragon Python group. The leaders of the Dragon Python group exchanged glances, gritted their teeth, and shouted. Given the current situation, they could either go against the Dragon Palace or be destroyed by the Night God Emperor. But the Dragon Python group was not the kind of people who would bite the hand that fed them. Moreover, with the Dragon Palace's current prowess, the Dragon King might have a backup plan for the war against the Imperial Court and the Night Race. Then let's give it a shot. Believe in the Dragon Palace. Believe in the Dragon King. All disciples of the North Stream sect, the Imperial Court did not care when the Night God Emperor killed our deputy sect leader. We will follow the Dragon King in this war. The North Stream sect leader raised his head and shouted with a flushed face. Fuck all disciples of the Moon sect, follow the Dragon King and fight for the Dragon Palace. Ancient God Dynasty, fight for the Dragon Palace, fight for our former comrades in the Northern Line. At this moment, the leader of the Ancient God Dynasty, a Moon sect, shouted. At this time, there was a 90% chance that they would be killed by the Dragon Palace. After being killed, they would have to bear the reputation of being ungrateful people. Why not fight for the Dragon Palace? Even if they died in battle, they would have a clear conscience. A clear conscience. Fight for it. When they shouted it out, they felt extremely carefree. The battle in the deep abyss concerns the survival of mankind. The Nine Heaven sect can help, but the civil war between the Imperial Court and the Night Race has nothing to do with us. We do not want to be involved, and we will not be the dogs of other forces. All disciples of the Nine Heaven sect, retreat out of the deep abyss immediately. A Moon sect and 4 decent forces were fighting for the Dragon Palace. The patriarchs of the Nine Heavens sect were shocked. They looked at each other and shouted with sullen faces. They would not participate in this war. Chapter 2769. The battle in the abyss concerns the survival of mankind. The heaven-shattering sect can intervene, but the war between the Imperial Court and the Night Clan has nothing to do with us. We don't want to get involved. All disciples of the heaven-shattering sect, retreat out of the abyss. When the Patriarch of the Nine Heavens sect announced that he wouldn't participate in the battle, the heaven-shattering sect didn't hesitate. They repeated the Patriarch's words and glanced at all the disciples. Retreat! The voices were heard again. Everyone moved and retreated out of the abyss. The Nine Heavens sect and the heaven-shattering sect took the lead. All their disciples flew out of the abyss without hesitation. Let's go too! Fuck, Dragon Palace has sent another 200,000 divine kings. We'll be courting death if we stay here. We're not going to participate in this. We won't participate in this either. This is a grudge between the Dragon Palace and the Imperial Court and the Night Clan. Moreover, the Dragon Palace has already made preparations in advance. Nearly 300,000 divine kings are here to wipe out the Imperial Court and the Night Clan. In the surroundings, some of the smaller forces had ugly expressions on their faces when they saw this. They didn't care about the orders of the Night God Emperor or the Imperial Court anymore. Dragon Palace had 270,000 divine kings and a dozen peak immortal king gods. How many of them could guarantee their own survival if they fought the Dragon Palace? Not many! At least if they retreated now, they could escape if the Night God Emperor and the Imperial Court wanted to kill them. They didn't believe that they couldn't escape the pursuit of the Night God Emperor and the Night Clan with so many people. They could just go to other galaxies. It was better than dying now. Everyone from the Sky Demon cult saw that most of the factions were retreating out of the abyss, and their expressions changed. Nine heavens, heaven shattering, you disobeyed the God Emperor's order. Death awaits you even if you escape this time. The patriarch of the Sky Demon cult roared with an embarrassed expression. He couldn't back down now. He had just said that he would obey the orders of the Night Clan and the Imperial Court. Now, 200,000 divine kings had rushed out from the Dragon Palace. This was especially true since the other great sects had directly retreated. At this time, he couldn't retreat, but he also couldn't not retreat. However, the Nine Heavens Sword and the Heaven-Shattering Sword ignored the words of the progenitor of the Sky Demon cult. The experts of the two sects led their disciples and flew out. There were also hundreds of big and small forces following behind them. Everyone from Dragon Palace, we will not participate in this matter. The Patriarch of the Nine Heavens Great Sect and the others immediately cupped their fists and went around the 200,000 members of the Dragon Palace. Today, we will only kill our enemies. Aosia swept his gaze across the crowd and said plainly, "Thank you." The old ancestor of the Nine Heavens Great Sect and the others immediately signaled to the disciples and flew away from the Dragon Palace. Who? How terrifying! 200,000 God Kings. When I approached them just now, I actually felt suffocated. The Dragon Palace is too strong. They must have prepared for this battle to destroy the Imperial Court and the Night Clan. Who would have thought that it would be like this? If the people on the smart computer knew, it would definitely shock the entire Imperial Star region. The disciples of the organizations brushed past the 200,000 God Kings of the Dragon Palace. All of them let out a sigh of relief as they discussed in fear. This. At this very moment, the four guardians of the Imperial Court trembled when they saw the 200,000 God Kings of the Dragon Palace charging towards them. How can there be so many experts in the Dragon Palace? Damn it! Everyone, run! Get out of the abyss now. Once we get out, we'll inform the Great Ancestor to destroy them. Run! One of the guardians of the Imperial Court roared with an awful look. Run! 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 All disciples of the Sky Demon cult, run! Run! The forces of the Sky Demon cult, the remaining few hundred people of the Imperial Court, and the Night Clan all flew out in fear. Trying to run? None of you will escape today. Tianjin stood on the Dragon Peak, his eyes filled with cold killing intent. He waved his palm and immediately conjured 3 thorny monsters. Kill the 4 guardians of the Imperial Court first. Wan Xian let out a low roar and gave the order to everyone around him. Rumble, rumble, rumble! In an instant, Ao Qitian, Ao Qi, and Ao Xingmu surrounded the 4 guardians of the Imperial Court. The 3 thorny monsters attacked the 4 of them at the same time. Trying to kill us? Dream on! Dragon King, Dragon Palace, wait for your punishment. The 4 guardians of the Imperial Court roared with bloodshot eyes. Rumble, rumble, rumble! However, what greeted them was a series of horrifying attacks. Bam, bam, bam! The 3 thorny monsters formed by the array surrounded them and swept their thorny vines over. Bam, bam, bam! Countless thorny vines attacked the 4 of them, and the 4 of them slashed at them with their weapons. Oh no! But soon, the 4 of them had a drastic change in their expressions as they were thrown back. There was a look of fear in his eyes. In just a moment of collision, they could feel that they were absolutely no match for the three thorny monsters. Die. At this time, the leaders of the Dragon Palace surrounded them. Fear flashed in the eyes of the four guardians of the imperial court. Run! Run now! As long as we can escape, it'll be the doomsday of the Dragon Palace. They gritted their teeth and roared. Hee hee! However, what greeted them was the frenzied attacks of the members of the Dragon Palace. TSK, TSK, TSK. Trash from the Night Clan, how dare you escape? Brothers, surround them. At the side, Yaki Demon Fiend and the other two were wreaking havoc on the Night Clan. Not even half of the 10 million members of the Night Clan were left alive by Yaki Demon Fiend and the other two. At this time, they were desperately trying to escape from the abyss. When Yaki Demon Fiend and the other two saw this, their faces were filled with mockery. Aosia, stop them. Leave no one alive. Yaki Demon Fiend bellowed at Aosia, who was leading the 200,000 divine kings. Don't worry. None of them can escape today. Those who want to deal with us can forget about escaping too. Kill them. Aosia and the others had blocked off the path of retreat for the Night Clan. The aura emitted by 200,000 divine kings was extremely horrifying. All the members of the Night Clan were filled with fear and despair. If they wanted to escape from the abyss, they had to break through the defense of the 200,000 experts of the Dragon Palace. The chances of breaking through were too slim. All experts of the Sky Demon cult, follow me. The patriarch of the Sky Demon cult roared with bloodshot eyes. He gritted his teeth and led the experts of the Sky Demon cult to fly forward. They wanted to break through the siege. The patriarch of the Sky Demon cult would never have thought that his decision would put them in such a desperate situation. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.